should do intro. All right, this is Destiny Cuniganpt, and I am interviewing Miss Mathis, right?
That's right.
We're doing this for, of course, my oral history project. So let's get started.
Okay.
The first question is, what is your full name? Why did your parents select this name for you? And do you have a nickname?
I have no idea why this name was chosen for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, I do. I'd forgotten. My uncle, Dr. Calvin Reese, my dad's youngest brother, gave me the name because our birthdays are the same. He's 13 years older than I am, but he named me Joanne.
Okay.
I was born on his birthday. I was the first niece on my dad's side. His first niece, the first grandchild. Of the 9 children, my dad had the first granddaughter. And he was the youngest son on my paternal side, my dad's family. And he named me. But when I went away to college, I had heard of Joan of Arc, and I thought that was more sophisticated than Joanne. Sounded country to me.
Just a little bit.
So I changed it to Joan, and now I wish I could go back to Joanne. And I get really excited when somebody who calls me Joanne, because that reminds me of a time in my life when I think I might have wanted something different, but I appreciate it now. So my having given up the name Joan, it's almost like I gave up and did not appreciate my upbringing. Yes.
Gotcha. So did you get your name legally changed? Or?
No, just the pronunciation.
Okay.
And when my dad would come to Wiley College looking for me, he would say, do you know where I might find Joanne? And they would say, no, we know. He said, no, I'm looking for Joanne.
Gotcha. That was nice. That was a very interesting story. So do you go by Joanne or Joan here at the college?
I go by Joan, but there are a few people who remember Joanne.
Okay.
And so that I just get really excited.
Okay. Next question. When and where were you born?
I was born in Lamar County, Amherst, Texas, 6 miles east of where we're sitting right now. I'm only 6 miles away. I was born in 1939. I was born during the time when almost depression type time, but I attended school at Amherst until about maybe my aunt was a school teacher, so I would ride with her at the all grades in one room. They're all in. I would listen and pay attention. I've always loved teaching and being around education. So when by the time I'd gone to school with my aunt and I was old enough to enroll in school, I had learned how to read. So I never attended 1st and 2nd grade. I was enrolled in the 3rd grade, because at that time there were no tests. If you could read see spot, run spot, there goes spot. That's spot the only words in the book. You learned those, and if you could subtract, multiply, and divide, then you were placed in the 3rd grade. So I attended Baldwin Elementary School, because many times families at that time in the 30s, 40s, didn't feel that their children were getting a quality education in the rural schools, and so they would often ask if they could live with an aunt or a cousin, a family member,
so they can go to a better school.
Yes, So I attended Baldwin School, but I did visit with my aunt every day. I would go with her, and I would sit there, and while she was teaching all those 8 classes, I was trying to learn too, and I did. I learned a lot.
That's awesome. So in that time period, was there a lot of segregation going on?
Yes. Even in Lamar County, there were probably close to 90 different schools, because every little community had a black school and a white school. And I just remember walking to school and passing the white school for whites, and we were feeling sorry for them, because we were having so much fun walking to school that we felt sorry for the white students, because they didn't have as much time to walk as we did. And so I didn't really. I think my family shielded me from the brutal phase of of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't grow up feeling like I was deprived. I just had a wonderful childhood.
I can relate
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up up north in
Mhm.
Columbus, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and the first time I experienced anything of that nature, I was probably about 9 or 10, and it was just so
Mm-hmm.
different
Yeah,
of a
well,
feeling that I had.
I guess when it really hit me, I'm not even sure what age I was, but
Mm-hmm.
we were at Belk,
Mm-hmm.
downtown Paris. And my mother always told us that it was unsanitary to drink from a public water fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother saw this sign there for whites only, and he was determined that he was going to drink from the water fountain. And it was not until then that I guess, it really hit me
Mm-hmm.
that there was a safety.
That going
Mhm.
yeah.
And so, because she would always have our thermos in the back of the car, and we didn't travel that much anyway.
Mm.
We didn't go to town that often, but when we did, we had our own thermos, because she
Some
told us it
families.
was unsanitary to drink
Yeah.
from a public water fountain.
Interesting. Okay, next question. How did your family come to live here in Paris?
My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, came to Texas in, I think I'm right now, in the 1900s from Alabama.
Okay.
And they came here, and it was the Reese family, the Johnsons, and the Smiths,
Mhm.
we have been told, came together. And there is still in Alabama a Reese's Wrecking Yard, and we have learned that was our family in Alabama.
That's cool.
Well,
Have you been there?
I have not. Now, my sister has been to Alabama, but I've been there, but not to
Mhm.
see the Reese's Wrecking Yard, but we've heard about it. And so they came to, I was born here. My mother and father married in, I think, I was born in 39. I think they married in 1938. My father did not graduate from high school. He
Mhm.
had an 11th grade education. But my mother graduated from Gibbons High School. And she too was born in a place called Beardstown, Glory, which is south of Paris, about 7 or 8 miles, I guess. And she too was encouraged to come to Paris, live with a family by the name of Gordon, so that she could attend Gibbons High School, which was, of course, a segregated school. She attended there and graduated from high school and wanted to become, I always said she wanted to be a home economics teacher, but of course she didn't get a chance to go to college.
Was graduating, being an African American in that time, was that different, or was that heard of? Not really at the time.
Oh yeah, it was, because in fact, my parents and grandparents always said they wanted their children to be educated. And when I was growing up, there was a rhyme that said, without an education in your head, you might as well be dead. So we grew up thinking that we had to be educated. In fact, I have 2 aunts who are college graduates. I had an uncle. Now, during that time, my grandfather felt that if you educate the girls, but the boys could make it on their own. They could either go to the military or they could get out and find a job. And I remember the day my mother said to my dad on the back porch, my dad said, I want to make sure my girls are educated. And my mother said, you make sure the girls are educated, and I'm going to make sure my boys are educated. Because she felt that it was just as important for the males to be educated as for the females.
Yes.
So that was, and all 3 of my brothers are college graduates. In fact, there are 5 of us in my family, and all of us attended Paris Junior College.
Really?
Now, when we graduated from high school, African Americans were not attending here. I think the first African American came in 1954. I came, and Marva Joe, whose name is in the paper a great deal, she does a lot of articles for the paper, came in 1955. I came along with 18 other African Americans in 1956. And my dad had told us that he would not spend one dime on our education until we had graduated from Paris Junior College. He said, it made absolutely no sense. Here we are, farmers, not with much money, and we're going to go somewhere to spend money. That's what he told us, and it's a college right in our door. So we knew, even though we didn't really want to at the time, we knew that's what we had to do. So we all are graduates of Parish Junior College.
Are you the only college professor?
No, my sister has been a principal of a school in Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia. She was, and I forgot the name of the school, but she was, and she is now a consultant in the field of education in Port Arthur right now. Her husband has been a superintendent for several years. So no, and my oldest brother worked for a company called Ciba Geigy Insecticide Company, and went to the Peace Corps. I have a brother now who works at the Texas workforce here in Paris, and has been there for quite some time. My third brother is a Vietnam veteran, and he is retired. So two of us have been in the field of education.
Okay. Were there other family members in the area besides your family?
Yes. In fact, family. And what was so interesting, and I think that I have really appreciated, is that my mother's family and my father's family lived in this area. So I knew so many people, and I always felt a sense of security because there was always
family
around. That's right. In fact, I felt too much security when I was little because I just wanted a chance to go off somewhere by myself. Yeah, freedom.
Totally
because every time I looked around, there was somebody, an aunt. There were eyes on me at all times. So
totally know how you feel. Okay, next question. What was the house, apartment, or where you guys lived? What was it like?
Okay, we lived in a home that my grandparents lived in, had moved out of and moved down the road, because we didn't run the street, it was down the road. And we lived in this big house with a big hallway and a well outside. We had, I just remember sweeping the yard with the broom, had to sweep the yard. We had a well outside from which we drew our water. We had an outdoor bathroom.
Oh, fun.
Yes. You know, but I just never have looked back on those times and say, oh, I had I really appreciate, yes, because we caught lightning bugs outside. Now, actually, my being the oldest one, I always wanted to know what the family secrets were.
Yeah, that's how my oldest sister is.
So I might catch a lightning bug or two, but then I would try to work my way back to find my way back on the porch so I could listen, because I always felt there were secrets in my family that I didn't know about. So I wanted to know what they were. So I spent as much time as I could with my ears to the peephole to hear about families. And I think it's very interesting that my father there were 9 children, and every one died having been married to only one person. Now, I know that they didn't have perfect marriages either, because remember I told you I like being at the peephole, so I know that but it just was interesting to me that they were managed to
hold their relationship
together. And I didn't have an appreciation for that when I was young, but as in my mature years of life,
as you're going through it yourself,
I just really think that's special.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're still on the home course. She has some kind of sub questions. How many rooms were in the house?
The rooms in my house, we had a hallway, so we had 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. We had a living room with an old piano on it, and I just remember how much time we would spend on that piano. And my dad would play. He called the boogie woogie on the, and we would gather around and we would just clap and sing. And of course, I had a cousin who would come, and she would sit there and play because she wanted to learn to play the piano. So her name was Verlene Reese. She never married. And she would come, and we would get behind the couch, and we would just make fun of her. We thought She was over there. She really was seriously trying to learn how.
Mm.
It was like she was sitting there and saying, "Oh God, would you just give
Guide
me
my
this
fingers.
gift? Yeah, give me this gift." No, 3.
Oh.
Okay, but thanks for reminding me. And so there was a lot of time spent. It was I wished so much that I had kept that piano.
Mm.
And when I walk in a lady's house down the street and she has hers, I just want to cry that I didn't.
You weren't able to keep it.
I didn't think about it. I could have, I just didn't. It sat there for years in that old house without any, and I could have gotten it and could have it now tuned and refurbished. But I do remember we had a cousin of mine. Now during this time, now this is my mother's family. My mother's oldest sister and her family would drive to West Texas when all the cotton in this area had been picked and ginned. Then they would go out to West Texas and Littlefield, Texas, and Lubbock, and
Sounds all familiar.
to work. And I would feel so sad. I just wanted to go so badly to get on the back of a truck and ride to Lubbock, Texas to pick cotton, because it seems like they would have, and when we would go out to visit, they would talk about this club that they would go to called Jaybirds. And oh, they made it sound like they had so much fun. And I always wanted to go to Jaybirds, and I never got a chance
Why didn't you
to
go?
see, and just never got a chance to go. But my parents were sharecroppers, and the person who was in charge told them that you never have to leave, because we will make sure you can buy this land. If we have to reduce it less than half price, we want to make sure you can buy it. So that 300 acres of land, my family never gave up.
I got a lunch for you and the teachers.